Hey my friend, today marks the 10-year anniversary of my first solo album, and I got so much wisdom from re-listening to it that I wanted to share it with you in this video. So here are 5 pieces of advice from my 10 years younger songwriting self about writing songs and writing an album. It's going to be super helpful, especially if you get stuck in the process of writing songs or an album, or if you lack the motivation to get started or to finish your musical projects. And at the end of the video, I'm going to re-listen to some of my old songs with you if you are curious to know where I'm coming from. So let's get started. Piece of advice number 1, don't wait until you know everything before you start making music. So many times we don't start our musical projects because we don't know how to do some of the steps in the project. But it doesn't make sense to not start on step 1 just because you don't know how to do step 7, right? And that was a blessing that I had with my first album, is that I knew barely anything about producing an album. I didn't know how to make the album artwork. I didn't know how to record and mix and master my music and promote it. I didn't even know, heck, how to complete a full song and make it a satisfying song in itself. But I just started on step 1, which was make a tiny song idea and start from here and repeat the process to make more songs and to make an album. So what I encourage you to do is to apply the just-in-time learning technique, which it says it in the name, right? You're going to start the project anyway. Whatever you don't know what to do, just go and do all the steps until you reach that thing that you don't know how to do. And now you will already be invested in the project. So you will be more motivated of actually learning how to do that step that you don't know how to do and getting some help and watching tutorials and stuff because you're already invested. Don't get paralyzed because you don't know how to do something. Just get started now, and it's gonna come when that step is going to be right in front of your face. Piece of advice number 2, don't wait before you have everything before making music. So sometimes the excuse is that you don't have all the resources, you don't have all the instruments. For example, on my first album, I wanted it to sound like a full band, so I wanted guitars and bass and drums, but I didn't have a drum set, and I couldn't have a drum set in my apartment because I would have lots of complaints from my neighbors. So I would need to wait before I moved to a new place and buy and afford a drum set. And even if I had a drum set, I would need to have all the microphones to mic it and stuff. So what I did instead, and what I recommend you to do, is just take whatever you have available right now. So instead of using drums, which I couldn't, I used some percussion lying around my studio, tambourines, shaker, and a little box that we call a cajon, which you just sit on it and you tap with your hands. And that was the percussion, no drums, but it gave a very organic and unique sound to my album, which I don't even regret up to this day. So just use whatever is lying around, use the resources that you have right now. Don't use them as excuses. Piece of advice number 3, you do not have to choose a musical style or to categorize your music. Some people get stuck there. They want to know exactly what kind of music they're making, to put themselves in a little box, because if I put my music on streaming services, I need people to find me. And if I need people to find me, I need to be able to describe what kind of music it is and what kind of style it falls on. But when it's your first songs, your first album, it's exactly the right time to experiment more, not put yourself in a box, because you don't have an audience. You are not known yet. You don't have people who expect you to make some kind of music in some kind of style. So you can pretty much take all of your influences, everything that you like, and just throw that into your music without a thought. That's what I did with my album. At the time, I really liked ambient guitar. That's a style that I discovered, but I loved progressive rock. I was studying jazz at university. I had a little bit of foundations of classical guitar when I first learned guitar, and I loved so many things, and I just threw all of that into the same album. It sounded so eclectic. It didn't make any sense to have all of these different styles on that album, but it was just fun to make, and this was just exploration. And your first album, your first music that you make, it's time to make the most mistakes. It's time to be bold with your music, because maybe you are going to find something that's going to define who you are as a musician and your unique style that you wouldn't have found if you put yourself in a box and try to categorize your music. But if not, it's just exploration and discovering who you are as a musician. And over time, I ended up going more on the ambient guitar side of things, but I had to go this way and to take this road so that it leaded me there, right? So just be bold with your music and use all of your influences when you're just getting started. It's not a problem. Piece of advice number 4, make imperfect things by design, meaning ship at 80%, release your music at 80%. So many times we are wasting time while making music just to work on the last 20% to really make our song just perfect, right? Mwah, chef's kiss. But most of the times, it's also where we lose time, we lose focus, we lose motivation, because it doesn't exist to make the perfect song, right? We need to be able to identify where is the 80% done, where the song is great. It's not perfect because it's never going to be, but it's also great, so I can let it go and go to the next song. Because the best way to grow as a songwriter is to release more songs. It's not by working on that same song again and again, week after week, month after month, that you're gonna get the most growth in your songwriting journey. Is by making more and more and more songs, more and more and more albums, and you are growing this way. So just when the song is just great, not perfect, just release it, or at least just stamp it like it's done and go to the next song, so that you can have your album done and just release all of those sets of songs into the same album. Piece of advice number 5, have no expectations on how the music is going to be received. You should write music for yourself and only for yourself. Sometimes we do things certain ways because we fear of how people are going to judge us. We want to make music and we want to make it right, so we're going to like analyze what's working right now and try to do a little bit of the certain things. But if you copy what's working too much right now, you're not going to innovate, so you're just going to be the vanilla flavor, right? You're just going to be like everybody else, and your music is not going to stand out, right? So when you're getting started, it's not the time to analyze too much what is working and what other people are doing. Do your own thing, do it for yourself, and do it to have fun, to explore your passion for music in whichever way you want. So when I'm listening to my first album, I hear so many things that I dislike, right? The production, like some of the distorted guitars sound horrible. Like some of the song structures and the pacing of the album is really weird and all over the place, right? There are probably some phase issues and so many things that I dislike. But what I hear also is fun, exploration, liberation of doing whatever I want with my music. And it made so many cool little sections in my music and so many cool songs. Celebration of all of my influences, right? So if you are curious, I'm going to listen with you to some of those songs on my very first album. And if you want, I actually put the album at Name Your Price on my Bandcamp page. You can click on the first link below and you can download it for free if you enjoy the music, or you can contribute whatever amount you want to buy the music and keep it. So let's get started. Let's listen to some of the songs. So, this is my first album from 10 years ago called Autumn Stories. So, the first song I wanted to listen to with you is really cool. It's called Golden Leaves. You're gonna see, right, my ambient guitar roots on that song. But what's really nice is that I had an old broken MP3 player that was really noisy, and I was using it to record my song ideas. And I ended up using the actual file of it as the intro of the song. So, let's listen to that. Wow, such contrast with the sound of the clean guitar after it. So sometimes you don't have to go too far with your song structure. You can use something and just use a different effect on it that makes it sound totally different, but it's the same musical content, right? And then after, you're gonna hear the sound of the cajon, which is what I used for the percussion instead of the drums. And I did some like crazy metric modulation with it. That's my progressive rock side that was showing in that ambient guitar song. So let's listen to that. Really nice. So that's a unique sound with the cajon and like all the little delayed parts. I love it. Then there's a song where I used a mandolin with a distortion on it. Like really bizarre. So, but it sounded really cool. So let's listen to this one. Really nice, this little part. And then I was really a fan of Joe Satriani and the tapping songs that he was doing. So I'm in my own version of it with like double tapping on both of the E strings and like some super complicated stuff. And I had even like, I let some mistakes in the actual track of the album, something like this. And then later, there was absolutely no point of shredding on a clean guitar album, but I was just having fun and doing whatever I wanted. Then there was this interlude where I took some classical guitar parts, and I was a fan of Spock's Beard. I don't know if you know that band, or Gentle Giant, where you have many vocals that were in counterpoint, and I did that with the classical guitar, and I even had a breakdown in a metal song at the end with odd time signatures. So it's classical guitar but with roots in metal and progressive rock. So let's hear that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to have that as an interlude, but it's so fun re-listening to it, right? And then talking about not having the resources, in the next song, I didn't have any MIDI keyboards or anything. I just had a little Casio keyboard, and I ended up miking the speaker of that Casio keyboard to make the piano. It's not it's a no, you should never record an album like this, but that was what I had at my disposal, and I just did it, right? So that's the song Hidden. Let's hear more. Even had that little pulse like a Van Halen song or something, like boom, boom, boom. So this one was going everywhere with the song structure too. You can hear in the 10th song what would become my ambient guitar sound and soundscapes through this one. And for the last song, I really wanted drums, so I finally found a friend who was able to do some drum programming for me. He was actually living on the same street as me with the same name, Antoine. So sometimes you just have to collaborate, find friends. It was a friend of a friend who made the artwork for the album also. So it's a great way of applying the just-in-time learning technique. It's just, okay, now I have no choice. I need an album cover. I'm going to start asking around. I'm going to start asking friends. And you would be surprised that it's much easier than you thought to do what was paralyzing you, right? So that last song, it's like a little melodic motif that is super simple that came back in so many of my songs and albums. It's like the lifetime motif, if you will. It's kind of a metaphor of like, I see my life advancing and I see going past by, and it's the first song that was about this, right? So a lifetime past. I mean, the balance is horrible between the drums and the electric guitar. Like, it really shows that I am a guitar player mixing the song. But you know, this is just like what I usually say is that each album that you make is a snapshot of who you were as a musician at a certain point in your life. And you can cherish that always, even if that's not perfect, even if the production is not good. I really cherish that album because it was a new beginning for me. I didn't have a band. I wanted to start making it as a solo artist, and it's really crazy to think that when I released that album, I had like 30 subscribers on YouTube, and now 10 years later, I have close to 120,000. So it's just to give you a bit of motivation. You can do this. You can learn one thing at a time. You don't need to have all of it figured out in terms of the style of what instruments you're gonna use, of like what you know how to do in order to release some music, make some albums, have fun in the process, and remember, it's about doing what is going to fulfill you as an artist. Because if not, if you're just trying to make it and make money from your music and make it in the industry, you're not gonna have fun while doing it. Just be you, and it's gonna be my best advice, if you will. So I hope that you liked it. If you want to get this music for free, you can click on the first link in the description box, go on my Bandcamp page. It's now Name Your Price, so you can enter 0 and it's gonna be sent to you by email, and you can download it for free. And if you want to just give any amount you want to support me, that would be super appreciated. So thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon in a new video. Until next time, au revoir.